Hey y'all, it's Wiley with Wiley's Wanderings, back after a long time away. We're back up here outside Seattle at SoundRail 2022 to do some operating sessions. It's been a long time since I've gotten to come out and do anything like this, as we all know, and I'm looking forward to it. So, let's go operate on some new layouts and have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bill Massacre, and this is my Santa Fe, Southern California layout. It features citrus packing and movement of refrigerated cars by the Santa Fe. So I model an area from Los Angeles to San Bernardino and moving citrus and other products to and from the east. It's in the early 1950s transition era, which is a popular one. So I've got steam and diesel, and layout has about 200 cars on it, as well as passenger trains. And we've just had a group here from SoundRails running the layout today. So if you ever get a chance, join in. I'd love to host you.
We have two different jobs today, really. The first one, I was a conductor on a turn. We left the yard, went across the layout, and then made it to the town where we had to switch our cars in and out. And, you know, it was kind of challenging. It was good. I switched cars in the town before and seen the switch list, but it's still not something I feel smooth at or fast at. So today was a good sort of learning experience where I feel like I gained a bit more insight into how when you look at a town, and even if you have a diagram, you can sort of see where you want to put cars, but you also have there's cars that are in your way, there's cars that you have to move and put back, you have to serve multiple industries, sometimes by going back and forth between them, where you're removing the same cars 3 or 4 times. It can seem frustrating, but at the same time, I was able to sort of look at some of it today and figure out, you know, okay, I could plan these 2 cars are going to go here, and so I could stack them up and then use a third one to move them that I could then leave in place because I don't need it to go out of town on the train. It took a while to get in that groove, but I feel like it gained a little bit more speed or just ability to sort of visualize it, which was good today. I'm making faces. That was the first job. So I was a conductor, and the guy I was paired with was the engineer. You know, so he was driving around, and I was throwing switches and uncoupling cars, and that was fun. And then we switched roles for the second job, where I was the engineer, he was the conductor, and we built the Grand Canyon Limited eastbound out of the yard to do a passenger train run through the layout. And for that, we actually had to switch cars in the coach yard, the passenger yard, the terminal. He has a part of the layout that represents LAUPT, Los Angeles Union Terminal. You had to, switch the express cars on that track to get the express cars you needed and the baggage cars you needed. Then you had to go to another track to get the coach and chair cars you needed. Then over here to get the sleeper cars you needed. And then you had to go and get the diner and the lounge and put them together in the right order. So it was surprised at how much switching was involved to put together a passenger train, which usually just see a bunch of cars in a row and you run it around and you're done. So that was nice because we got to do some switching there, and I was driving that around. And then we took it around the layout, had to stop at stations in towns around the layout. And we also got to, of course, ruin the other freight guy's day because we would come right through town to trying to make a nice switching move, and they have to wait for you to come in and stop and put people on and off the train and then leave. So that's fun too, And I liked it. It was good. It was good. Ran it with a couple of nice war bonnet F units, which always look nice running around. That's a little brief blurb on the jobs I did today on the railroad. All right, thanks, and I'll see you later. All right, so here we are at day 2 of SoundRail 2022, and we headed over to Tyler Whitcomb's 1090 and Western N-scale layout. This is an incredible layout that I got to see back in 2018, and Tyler has definitely been busy during Corona and the lockdown. There was a lot more scenery, there was a ton more detail. I mean, the layout just looks vibrant. It's amazing. I mean, some of these scenes were little more than a cardboard cutout when we were here last time, and now you have fully built out scenes, fully built out paper mill, fully built out brewery. I mean, it's really incredible what he's done in the last few years. And the layout ran as great as ever. We had no problems with derailments, no weird hiccups with DCC, nothing else. It was a great time, and we were there, you know, for 6 or 7 hours, and I probably could have stayed for 8 or 10. We were all having so much fun. He had to turn the layout off to force us all to go to lunch. We had some time when we got in early, and decided to try to do some flyovers of the layout as best as I could. And, you know, the video came out great. It's amazing what you can do with the phone in your pocket nowadays. This river was poured but not detailed. There's got to be 2 or 3 times more trees now. And this is the hill you climb up to get to the yard, and you have to go past the defect detector. And I tell you, if it picks something up on your train and you don't stop, you definitely get busted.
Jim Yonkins. We are at Tyler Whitcomb's Tenino Western Railroad. Tyler has an infinite amount of experience on the real railroad, so he knows how things should operate, he knows how things should look. As far as I'm concerned, this is probably one of the best model railroads in the country.
So there were about 6 to 8 of us at the layout that day operating, and a few other people showed up later, so the room easily accommodated 10, maybe even 12 people while we were all operating. And while I was there, I met the youngest operator I've ever met, Jacob, who's only 13 and is really into operations.
Hi, I'm Jacob Wright. I'm currently at SoundRail's 2022, and I'm at Tyler Whitcomb's amazing N-scale layout modeling the Tenino and Western. I've always liked intellectual puzzles like Sudoku and stuff like that, so I like trains, I like puzzles, so operations just kind of made sense. I love what I'm doing here, and I can't wait to do more of it.
You know, it's really amazing. You look at a lot of this footage and you can't tell that it's N-scale. It just looks like any other model railroad, even HO. But everything ran so well. People think you can't operate an N-scale, but really you can if you have good equipment and, you know, you take care of it. The layout runs flawlessly. I mean, we just used smaller picks than you would use an HO scale to separate cars. I know Tyler uses no aux on the rails, and he only has to clean them or reuse it every 6 months. All the equipment runs, didn't have problems with power pickup. It's great. In fact, in some ways, using the no aux on the rails improves the realism of the layout, because you actually can slide going up the hill a little, and then you need helper service, which is another operator. So everyone had a great time, and I'm glad I went, and I'm looking forward to 2 years from now when we get to go back. Day 3 took us to Steve Shore's railroad, and I'll tell you, this was a great railroad that used every inch of space that he had. The scenery is very well done, the lighting was good, the trains ran well, and you know, it wasn't huge, but it accommodated, 5 or 6 of us, and everybody had their own spot, and we had enough space, and it was fun to operate. You know, he's been working on it for a number of years now, and it was just fun. I have to say, when I first walked in and saw the layout, I was maybe a little worried it was going to be too small, or if it would feel like a small layout. But I'll tell you, once we got operating and the trains got moving, I didn't feel that way at all. He has really used his space very well, and running the trains and doing operating, I mean, I never thought about it again, and I had a great time, and I was busy the whole time we were there. So I have to say, you know, looks can certainly be deceiving. Just because you have a small space doesn't mean it won't turn out great.
Steve Shores here. I live in Puyallup, Washington, and this is my Pacific Shores Railroad. The main railroad is a GN Northern Pacific type of thing. about a 20 by 13 room with about 5 turns out of that. But then I've got also a couple lines coming in from the north and the south from another room. And then I just added an extension which goes east to west, which has secondary trackage rights over the NP and the GM. That's called the Pacific Shores Railroad. Right now I've got the track working and it's functional and it's operational, but a lot more detail and building to do. I started cleaning up the room and doing the walls and the lighting and everything in 1995. I started it as a loop. I wanted to go point to point, and that was plan B, but I never got to it. And I finished with the loop, and then I asked some good friends, okay, I want to operate, give me some suggestions. And they kind of laughed at me and said, how are you going to operate it other than stage your trains on your passing sidings? So they convinced me to put staging in another room, and that staging then evolved into 2 more switching areas, which now has evolved to the whole east-west line. So it's evolved, and you'd never know it. Not following any particular prototype, just generic, plausible 50s in the Northwest. Just having a lot of fun.
After I'd interviewed Steve and we were talking towards the end of the day, he revealed to us that he's not a big railroad historian. He's not a big prototype modeler. He just has a good idea of what he wants to do and has fun with it. He doesn't worry about researching every car or, did this town have this industry? He's got a general idea of what should be in the area, and he's just put together a great layout. So it just goes to show you don't have to be a in-depth researcher to have a good time and build a great layout. You just saw the train come into Southport here, which is a very tight, small switching area. I have to pull most of these cars out and then drop off the rest of my train. So this is going to be a challenge. We'll see how it goes. All the turnouts on this layout are manually thrown, and he's done some clever things to disguise the manual throws. Here you see I got a turnout in the pavement for the dock, and you come over here to this little crate. This is your turnout throw. Not bad. He's got a crossbuck on the other side I'll get a shot of later. So this is another innovative solution he's had on the railroad here. There's a turnout back near the back of the layout where the track goes underneath and goes into the other room. But you can't really reach it without knocking that building around. So he's made this crossbuck movable. Throws the turnout, close the turnout. Throw, close. It's pretty fun. And actually, you can see this from the other end of the layout as well. So it's a nice visual indicator when you're coming down the main line and there's somebody working in here and you can't get all the way down. You can see right what's going on there. This layout has the most 3-way turnouts I have ever seen. But it really does allow Steve to get a lot of action in a small space, and they do work pretty well. You can see here he's got some stands over there, and there's another one over there. This north-south goes into the other room. He's got these sliders here and poles on them, and they run all the way back, just flip that turnout. But those turnouts allow this Y, and what I would say is maybe 5 feet across. And then you come over here, and there's another 3-way turnout there, and you have a whole staging yard that's 6-7 feet long or so. So he's actually gotten quite a bit in this room, and it's all pretty functional. And there's always room for a little bit more railroad. He's just added this within the last couple of weeks, he says. And of course, it shares space with the gym. All right, so that's a wrap for SoundRail in 2022. Man, I had a great time this year. I mean, even more fun than the last time I came, and that was a good time too. If you're on the fence about operations, I understand. The first time I went, I wasn't too sure I would like it, but I really did. And there's plenty of operating sessions that are really relaxed, where you get a throttle, they give you a train, and maybe you just run back and forth across the layout as a through freight or passenger train. It's easy to do, don't have to worry about rules or signals or anything else, and you'll have a good time. And then if you like that, well, then maybe you take another little job doing some switching or something. It's easy to get into, and if you're on the fence, I'd say give it a try at least once and find someone that does a real casual session. A lot of operators that own layouts will list what kind of session it'll be, if it's timetable and train order, if it's signal dispatcher controlled, or if it's just Mother May I, as they say. And generally you ask the guy next to you if a train's coming. If there's no train coming, you get to go. So you can get into it with a really low commitment and still have a really good time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next adventure.